Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N. Below me are two electric motors powering this all-electric performance SUV, if you could even call it that. Now, I am super excited to be making this video here today, not only because I love the Ioniq 5N, I've actually driven a 2025 Ioniq 5N here on the channel before, but we are going to get the owner in the car here today, a good friend of mine, Matt, and he's going to talk about what he's liked, what he's disliked, and what it's been like to live with the Ioniq 5N to give you a little bit better perspective of what it's like. So look forward to that towards the end of the video. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zachpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, please go check out Matt's channel, Downshift. It will be linked in the description below. He does amazing car reviews as well. Very, very thorough, more thorough than me. So go hit subscribe over there as well. But let's get back to the drivetrain of the Ioniq 5N. Well, it is fast. This is the dual motor N, meaning the performance version of the Ioniq 5, making a whopping 600 horsepower and then an additional 41 horsepower when you put it into boost mode for a total maximum output of 641 horsepower. That is rivaling true supercar status with the electric motors of this car. That is the whole point of the N. It is fast, it is fun, it corners very well, which I unfortunately can't really show you here in snowy Wisconsin today, but it is a performance beast, and I'll have Matt talk about that later on as well. Now, range is kind of down. From the factory, range says about 220-ish miles. However, the owner has found that adding better tires, less sticky, less performance-oriented tires, will actually increase that range quite a bit. So if you are serious about tracking your vehicle, but it is also your daily, I'd highly recommend having two sets of wheels, one with some super sticky summer tires and some others with some a little bit more efficient tires, because he has noticed about 80 more miles of range just due to tires, and that is pretty great. How does it feel to drive the Ioniq 5N? Well, that's the amazing part of electric cars, is that they can be so dual purpose so perfectly, because I can drive this like an absolute grandma and it will respond and operate like a grandma car. Or I can drive this like a 16-year-old who just got their license and is obsessed with Fast and Furious, and it will respond to that as well. Just a quick little thing here. If it will grip at all, which it's not really gripping up here today, but that's okay. Visibility is good. The overall size of the Ioniq 5 I think is wonderful. It's not overly big, but it's not tiny either. And it's just such a wonderful automobile. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital gauge cluster shared with pretty much every other Hyundai product, so nothing new there, but it's presentable and it works well. On the steering wheel on the left, we do have our selectors for that gauge cluster screen, as well as we have our lane keep assist, our drive mode select for sport, normal, and eco. We have N1 and N2, so these are our custom modes. We can basically use these as hotkeys to find them. And off to the right, we have mode, volume, skip track, but also our NGB, which is that extra engine power for 10 seconds, boosting it to 641. Off to the left, we do have our gauge dimmer switch, traction control off, tailgate release, charge port opening, auto holding brake, and power parking brake. And moving out of the door, we have the latch to get in and out, power locks, power mirrors, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. This does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, all the standard fixings that you would want in a modern car you get here in the Ioniq 5N. It works really well. In here, you will find a bunch of N performance settings like drift mode and launch control and things like that, but the question that everyone always asks is the fake sound. You can control that in here. You get 3 different ones to choose from, and honestly, I like it a lot. I like the fake sound. We'll talk about it towards the end, but I actually kind of like it. As well as you get a backup camera and a 360 camera. Very, very nice to see that. Very, very helpful in a vehicle like this, especially when you're trying to find the charge port at home. Down below, we have 2 climate control vents with the hazard switch. We have our radio hotkeys as well as our climate controls, dual zone climate. We have heated and ventilated seats here in the Ioniq 5N. All absolutely wonderful features. And then moving into the center console, we do have 2 USB-Cs. One can be used either as a charger or media. One is just for charging. Very, very cool to see that. We do have a wireless charger down below that says N on it because this center console is actually just for the N model. The traditional Ioniq 5 actually has a different center console, but they moved it up here so you could actually have something to brace your leg on while taking big corners. So very, very cool to see that. We have our parking camera and parking sensors, another USB-C and a 12-volt outlet, so all of your charging needs will be met here. And we have some cup holders down below. We'll do a big friggin' bottle test. It fails, but no one here is really surprised. Then we do get a center console and the seats. The seats are pretty aggressively bolstered. These are sporty seats. I'm a bigger guy and I do happily fit in them. I can't say that about all performance seats, but I do fit pretty comfortably in here, and so I'm not complaining, but that is something to note. Getting in and out, you might scrape yourself on the high bolsters, so I'd highly recommend trying one at a dealership before placing your order. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, getting in the back of the Ioniq 5, and silly door handle here, and I gotta say, my sweatshirt for this year matches the performance blue pretty well. But getting in the back here, we do have obviously the performance seat in front of us that says N. Love to see that. But knee room is so spacious. I've always praised the Ioniq 5 for how much room in the back that it has. You can fit full-size adults back here without any worry. They're not going to be smushed. Love to see that. We do have power windows, which I am now realizing I have child locked myself in the back. That's a problem for later. Down below, we do have 2 USB-Cs. Tons of USB-Cs throughout the interior of this vehicle. We do have a center console that folds down. 2 cup holders. Still has the QR code in there as well. We have some color-changing speakers, some nice accenting on the doors, and some nice seat inserts. Overall, this is a huge, huge win because this might be one of the most comfortable vehicles to have over 600 horsepower, at least for the backseat passengers, obviously excluding the Cadillac Escalade V. But for a little performance car, not even that little, but a smaller performance vehicle, this is an incredible back seat. This is way more spacious than your BMW M3. This is way more spacious than whatever AMG you want to throw at it. This is just so great. I can spread out and be myself comfortably in the back of the Ioniq 5N. That is lovely. Now, I have to find a way to get myself out of here, and when I do, we'll talk about the trunk. Hallelujah. There we go. Hallelujah. All right. Let's see if I remember. Yep, it's right there. To the right of the backup camera is the rear trunk. So once we are back here, Matt has some of his filming equipment back here. Pretty sizable trunk. Nothing too crazy. I'm not being blown away by this. However, it is very, very spacious. Again, for a vehicle with 641 horsepower, I mean, that's a pretty good amount. So very, very cool. We do have a button up here to put it right back down. Nice power operated tailgate, which I would expect, especially for the price tag. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is finished in performance blue matte. And Matt, the owner, will talk to us about that here in a second. I think this is a perfect color for this car. I think you have to buy it in this color. The press loan that I had was in orange, and I think it really muted the fun orange accents on the exterior. So this, to me, is the proper color. I can't recommend it enough. It really, truly is something special. And I like the overall design of the Ioniq 5N. It looks fun, it looks futuristic, and yet also retro. And I've always praised the Ioniq for that lane that it occupies. But I will stop stalling. I will get Matt into the car for the final thoughts. I personally like it, but let's see what he has to say. Matt, welcome to your own car.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here in my own car.
Have you ridden shotgun in your own car?
No, actually. I rode shotgun in the press car that we had last year.
Gotcha.
Of this, but that was the pumpkin one. The
yeah,
orange
which
one.
I thought was very dumb that they did not this color for the press car.
What? Yeah, and also the body color orange was different from like the side skirt, like the N orange that's still on this car.
You're the owner of this car. You made this purchase.
Have done.
Lease.
You know, Uncle Sam tax reasons, etc.
Sure. My first question for you almost doesn't even pertain to this car.
Yeah.
Do you miss your BMW?
There's definitely things I miss about my BMW. I think the things that I miss about my BMW is like when I would want to go out for a drive, it was really satisfying. The steering, the chassis balance, the rear wheel bias from the X-Drive, the AWE exhaust that I had on there, it was more of an event. But as something to daily, like, you know, I get headaches, my wife doesn't feel good sometimes, like this is a calmer daily.
Yeah.
And maybe that's my doing. Maybe putting an AWE exhaust on it was a bit much.
Sure.
But like, this rides better. This is an easier daily. And to be honest, like I've had this car for 4 months now. I'm still more excited and like learning more about this car at 4 months than I was with my BMW.
So why did you pick this car? Like, you're a car enthusiast, car guy.
Yeah.
You know, this is, electric is not very car enthusiast-y, usually.
Yeah, generally speaking, I would argue, and I think a lot of people would argue, that this is the most car enthusiast-y EV.
100%.
I don't particularly care. Like, I've had a go in Porsche Taycan turbos, and it's really cool that it goes really fast, but it also then starts to hurt your head and your neck and your stomach, and it gets old after a while. So having this with the programmable shifting or the synthetic shifting and everything is kind of bringing more of that internal combustion experience into the EV ownership experience. And like for this job, you know, I'm interested in this development of the industry, the whole EV side of the industry, and to kind of see what Hyundai's done here, and they've executed it well. The sound it's like 80% there, but the actual execution of like engine braking and hitting rev limiter and like the way they've executed that is really cutting edge.
Yeah.
And I think we'll start to see it rolled out in more stuff. When they first came out with this car, like Porsche and BMW, I know specifically, and I think even Audi, all came out and said, why would you do that? We're never going to do that to our EVs. It doesn't make them any faster. And now they've all kind of walked that back. I know Porsche has for sure. I think Audi's said it as well. They're like, yeah, we'll probably have fake shifting in our cars because it just brings another dimension to the experience.
How has owning an EV been? Because this is your first EV.
Yeah, this has been my first EV, and that was one of the big things that I wanted to have the experience, and we drive more and more EVs as test cars every year, you and I. So being able to have one and speak about it intelligibly from an ownership experience, what's it like to live with in the winter time? What's it like to commute with? What's it like to do highway trips with, road trips with? I wanted to have that kind of like credibility and learn from that perspective. And it's been really, really nice. I've had the car since like mid-August of 25. We're shooting this in mid-January of 26. So I've had it for several months, and I think I've only needed to charge it outside of the house twice.
Oh, wow.
So we drove it up from, I live in Milwaukee, so we drove it up to my cottage, my family cottage up in Wapaka. It's about 120 miles. So I drove it all the way up there. I think it took like 50% out of the battery to get there. And then we ripped around in like rural country roads with my dad, and then we charged it. I think it was like a Dodge Chrysler Jeep dealer. They had DC fast charger, and it charged from 30% to 80% in 11 minutes.
Wow.
Like just blisteringly quick. And then the other time that I charged it outside of the house was drove from Milwaukee to Madison to see some of my wife's friends. We kind of drove around Madison a little bit, and then we were coming back, and I plugged it in and charged it at a Tesla charger. You got an adapter, works no problem, easy peasy as long as you got the Tesla app. The Tesla charger was slower. I didn't charge it a lot because I only needed like a little bit to then get home. And for those of you that don't know, it's a lot more expensive to charge out in public versus at home. It also changes how much it costs to charge depending on what time you're charging. So I've got this car scheduled to begin charging at like 11 p.m. when rates are the cheapest.
Yeah.
And then I rarely let it get below like 40% battery. And then it'll easily charge overnight. It's just been no problem. All of my charging I've been doing at home. And it costs me like 20 cents per kilowatt hour.
Jeez.
So it's like under $10 to fill up from like 0 to 100%. It's amazing.
I gotta ask about the paint.
Yeah.
We had talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
I think this is the color to get. How has it been to live with matte paint?
This was my second choice of paint. Originally, I wanted like the matte gray. I think it's like Ecotronic matte gray. I think in other markets, you can get glossy gray. You can get Ecotronic in the gloss, but here in the States, it's just the matte finish. But with some of the stuff that I've talked about in some of my other videos with this car, like the front bumper is black, and then the side skirts at the bottom are black, and then the rear bumper is black. I'm like, I wish that was body colored. So I thought gray hid that better.
Yeah.
So this is my second choice, but this was the one that they had at the dealership that I got it at. I would have had to go to like Phoenix or something to get a gray one. So that wasn't gonna happen. But this being like the performance blue, this is like the press color. And I actually am glad that I got this color because one, I think it looks the business. Everyone that sees this car loves the color.
Yeah, it's
but
killer.
It
it's
is
so
a pain.
good.
It is a pain though to take care of the matte stuff. Like I had to get special Dr. Beasley's, soap and stuff like that, and I can't just take it to like a touchless wash on like the random, above freezing day here in January and just get some of the salt off. Like it's more of a hassle. I'm glad I did it. I'm gonna have the car for 3 years. That's the term of the lease, and I'll have it and I'll be thrilled with the color the entire time. Mm-hmm. But if I choose to, get a different car, I don't think I'll do matte again because it's just kind of a pain.
So that's kind of my last question. When this lease is up, which is in basically 2.5 years, are you going to go EV again? Are you going to go Hyundai again? Like, how has this sort of changed your perception so far?
I think depending on the state of the market, I might just keep this because, like, truly, this is kind of the perfect car for me. I like having something that's EV as a daily, and then maybe having like a 2-car solution. This could be a great daily. It's still fast, it's still fun, but it's efficient, it's quiet, it's chill when I want it to be. And then having something like more vintage to have fun on weekends.
Sure.
I think back to when I started this channel. I started Downshift, I should say, not your channel. But when I started my channel, it was because I had bought a BMW E30. I had like a 318i convertible, and a Subaru ultimately killed it. But like I kind of yearned to have that car back, and I think it would be really cool to have this as like a daily, or like what BMW is doing with their Neue Klasse stuff, the iX3. But I do think having like an EV as a daily is super simple for my use case, and then having something fun, vintage, maybe something with a V8 would be fun.
EV definitely has a use, and I don't think it's going anywhere. I know that EV sales have been slipping as of recently. I think for certain people it makes a lot of sense, for other people it doesn't. My mom works 1.5 miles from where she lives.
Yeah.
She should have an EV. Like 100% she should be in an EV.
She can get away with like an e-bike as long as it's not snowing.
Yeah, exactly. So like stuff like that, I think this can be a good solution for a lot of people. I don't think it's the solution for everyone.
No.
But for your use case, honestly, now for my use case, since we get press cars, we're very fortunate in that way, where like we don't have to rely on one form of transportation all the time. We can have something like this. I would 100%. I own my Mazda 3 now, so it doesn't cost me anything. But if I needed a car for those occasions that I don't have a press car, it would probably be electric. It is just easier. It's simpler. Have you had to do any maintenance, really?
No, not so far. I should mention the acronym ICCU. It's the Integrated Charge Control Unit. That's a point of failure in these eGMP cars. So this, the cousin EV6, the Genesis GV60 can have ICCU issues. I've not had that with this car. There's been a couple things. There's like a slight knocking that sometimes comes through in the dashboard. When you just start the car up, there's a little bit of a tailgate rattle that I've noticed, but other than that, it's been fine. I do have to take it in. I'm gonna go and shoot like a Palisade video this coming week. So I'll probably just ask the service guys and see what they think, but it's not like affecting the drivability of the car at all. And no, I haven't had to do anything to it. There's no like oil changes. I think you get your brakes checked like once a year, but that's kind of it.
Sure.
And if they don't need anything, it's just like a diagnostic fee. So it's really cheap to run. But yeah, I guess the way that I look at it is, if you can charge at home and you can have like a level 2 and you can get away with that, then an EV makes sense. Also, an EV makes sense for just like regular traffic type cars.
Well, Matt, I appreciate it. I appreciate you letting me borrow the Ioniq 5 today.
Anytime.
And go check out Downshift.
That's right. Thank you guys for watching.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Matt for letting me borrow his Ioniq 5. This was really just an opportunity for us to collaborate. He is absolutely wonderful. Please go check out Downshift here on YouTube. They just hit 100K not too long ago. Really an up-and-coming review channel. If you like reviews, which I would assume you do, given the fact that you're watching this one, I can't recommend him enough. He's not only a great reviewer, but he is a truly, truly wonderful friend, and I appreciate him and all that he does. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.